So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. So the topic of the presentation today is how to land a dream job. So I wouldn't like to waste your time because I believe the speakers before now have talked about CVs and resume. So I would like to limit the scope of my presentation to landing our dream job. So first and foremost, there is this quote by Confucius which I really love a lot. He said, "Choose a job you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life." So, which means that whatever job we want to do, we should try as much as possible to do the kind of job that we love, so that we are not gonna see it as a stressful job, and it's going to end up being a very interesting one for us. So now, what do we mean whenever we say a dream job? Because what can be a dream job to A might not be a dream job to B. It varies from person to person, from individual to individual. So a dream job basically has to do with a role that combines an activity, skills, or passion with a money-making opportunity. In reality, it doesn't if it doesn't fetch you money, most times some people don't see it as dream job. Why to some people it's all about passion, it's all about tenacity, something that gives them joy and they love doing. So it can be something like music, for instance, musician. It can be something like acting. It can be lawyer. It can be doctor or engineer. So, like I said, it varies from individual to individual, but they actually usually have some common traits, and one of it is the fact that they are engaging. Most times, when you ask people what they call dream jobs, they are jobs that engage them. So it keeps them alive. It's not monotonous, it's not dull. It's kind of job that they always love to do. And secondly, they help others. So because it is their dream job, they find joy in it. So they can actually transfer that excitement to others. So it's help them to also help others. So another one is that they use dream job has to do with talent. Although, of course, this one varies from job to job because it's not all job that has to do with talent. Some job it's all about the skill set that you have, and it also include excellent colleagues. Another one, and that's why if you are in labor market, you realize that some people, despite the fact that they might be well paid, they decide to leave the company because they have probably the colleagues are not good. Maybe it's a toxic environment for them. So of course they have to leave. So another one is the fact that they maintain a positive workplace. That it has to do with the culture of the company itself, the organization behavior. And the last one, it has to do with work-life balance. So it gives them the room to balance both the work and their life activities. So they can have time to play, have time to also spend time with their family. So now, let me move to the next one. What are the steps that we can take for us to land a dream job? The first one is that you need to have a career-specific resume and cover letter. Although I will still come back to explain in details about what we mean by resume and cover letter. But the first passport for you to get to land a dream job in this 21st century is that even if you have a network, you still need to have a resume, and in some instance also together with it you need to have cover letters. Then the second one is that you need to make your name a brand, and this has to do with most of us now, the Gen Z, whereby we use social media a lot. So you need to brand yourself online. The social media is not just for you to catch cruise and play around, but you also need to make sure you brand your name. And that has to do with another aspect which I will talk about, because while you are branding your name, you need to create a professional website. You need to have a LinkedIn page whereby people can contact you online. Then if you're also in some other social media space like Twitter, like Facebook and Instagram, you need to also make sure that your name is a brand. So which means that whenever anybody hear your name, they already know what that name is all about. And then now we are in a political season in Nigeria. I would like to also appeal to most of us that are applying for jobs to be careful of the kind of interaction we have online. It's very, very important. It's not always good for you to be involved in a toxic argument online, because there are cases whereby some people they ended up losing jobs because of the interaction they have online, the kind of engagement they have online, very toxic, full of hatred, full of, you know, in terms of abuse and insults. So most time, and that's why if you're applying for some jobs, some employers, they will request for your social media handles so that they can run through them and for them to know traits you the kind of traits you possess, so that they know that okay, this kind of individual, does it fit into the culture of our organization? Because most times getting a job, it also, it stands beyond your skills, it also stands beyond your qualification. It's all about your character. Because some companies believe that you can have the skills, even if you don't have, we are gonna train you. But what matters is the kind of character you have. And that's why you need to be careful the kind of interaction you have online. It's very, very important because your name is a brand. So don't engage in some kind of unnecessary argument online that can dent your name. So the next one is that you have to be intentional. If you want to land a dream job, you need to be focused on the kind of job you are looking for. For instance, I as a software engineer, assuming I'm looking for a job in Google, it means that I have to be intentional. So I have to streamline my applications to FANG companies. I mean, when I mean FANG, I'm talking about Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, and Microsoft. So like these are the kind of company, because these are my dream job, because I want to get employment in this kind of organization. So I have to be specific and focused. So it doesn't mean that because if my dream job is in Facebook and Amazon, so that means that is where I have to streamline my application. Not that I'll now be looking for jobs, let's say in PHCN or in FIRS or probably even in a Shell, unless if I want to use it as a ladder to get to my dream job. If not, I don't have any need for me to be looking for a job in that area. So the next one is that you have to get involved and network. In fact, this one is actually much more important. Nowadays, it's not just about the skills you possess. It's also about your interpersonal relationship, the kind of people you know, you network. And if you are the type that you are just probably an undergrad that just finished school, one of the things you can do to help your career is that you can join the leadership clubs, specific club that relate to what you are doing. For instance, in the developer world, for instance, you can join different online community or even offline, whereby maybe you go attend Dev Fest and some other related programs like that, so that you can meet people that are into the area you are looking, where you are looking for jobs. So these are the people that can also network you. At times, there are some jobs that they actually don't advertise online. But if you know people, if you have a very good network, they can tell you that, oh, in my company, we are looking for so job. So are you going to apply to this? So it is very, very important. You have to get involved and you have to network. And while doing that, you also make sure you also follow up on your application. It's very important. So now, it leads me to the next part of my presentation, which I've titled CV or resume. So what do we mean by CV? What do we mean by resume? Because most times people confuse these two together. So while both resume and CV, which is curriculum vitae, are used in job applications, some employer may actually use them interchangeably, and these two, they have a few distinct differences. Well, in some instances they are the same, but not in all instances. So now, most times the word resume resonate a lot if you are applying to jobs in the US. And in the US market, American labor market, people talk a lot about resume because that's what they use, that's the term they use a lot. While in EU or United Kingdom or here, even here in Nigeria, a lot of people refer to it as CV. So in that instances, the two of them, they are the same document. However, CV at times can be specific to something that has to do with the course of your life. For instance, if you are applying for a job in the academics, so most times they actually want to look at what you've been doing in your whole life in related to getting a job in the academic system. So you can look it as a comprehensive description of everything you've ever done, all the achievements you are proud of, your publications, and so on and so forth. So in details, it's like an in-depth document that describes your career step by step, including all sorts of personal information. So because of that, for CV, you have to be updating it almost every time. as you are achieving probably an excellent fit in your life, you keep on updating your CV. So whenever you get a new job or publish articles or publications, you need to include it in your CV. So because of the nature of CV, most times it's usually very long. And that's why when you see CV of professors or people in the academia, it's usually very long. In fact, some they even have table of contents. Some can be as long as 15 pages. If you're applying for also jobs like most time maybe managerial jobs or maybe a vice chancellor positions or like I said in the academia, this is the kind of document people request for when they say CV. And so these are the things you include in your CV: your name, contact information, professional title, your research interests, your education, publications, work experience, skills, certificates, and your languages. If you are a polyglot, for instance, then most times your references in relation to the application you are applying to. So now, academic curriculum CV. Here I've come up with something like a sample for us to see how a CV looks like. Most times it doesn't go below 2 pages because it has to do with what you've been doing your whole life. So if you take a look at this one, you can see that the name of this CV belongs to Elizabeth Smith. So she's a marketing lecturer and she's looking for a position in the academia. So because of that, if you take a look at it, you realize that she has included her contact details, her research interests, her education. She has documented her publications, conferences and courses she has attended, teaching experience, working experience, certificate, volunteer experience, general skills, and even her languages. So if you look at it very well, more or less like she has documented what she's been doing for over a long period of time. However, so if it has to do with resume, it's another thing, another ball game because a resume is usually very short, straight to the point. And then, in fact, a lot of the times, resume doesn't go beyond a page. But okay, and then for people probably for senior guys who have like 10, 15 years experience, they can have like 2 pages. So most times, because and where we use resume most times is in the industry because the HR there doesn't really have that luxury of time. So she just want to glance through, he or she just want to glance through, okay, what you have in relation to the role they are looking for. So which means that they don't have that time. And in some instances, there are some software that also run through the resume, like ATS. So this ATS, for instance, we only pick the most important thing that they are looking for. So if they request for a resume and you are giving them CV, it might be a turn off because they just need just a page or 2 pages of your work related experience in relation to the role they are looking for. So nobody really have that time. So that's why in resume most times it's usually very short and a page and at times maybe it can span to 2 pages. So and in a resume you only mention the aspect of your work experience and skills that are relevant to the job, which means that for instance, I as a software engineer, if I'm applying for a front end position, I'm going to only include those skills that have to do with front end in the application. So if I'm applying to a back end position, it's going to be different from what I'm going to state in the front end position because what the employer is interested in is just my skills, my front end skills. So they are not interested in my back end skills. So if I'm applying for a back end position, I'm only state my back end skills because that is what the employer is interested in. Then also at the end of the application, I will also attach a complete document like my cover letter, which I'm still going to talk about. So what are the things we are going to include in the CV? In CV, because it's usually very short, so you just include
Hello.
your name, maybe your
Hello.
job title. Hello,
Hello.
hello, can
Hello.
you hear me?
Please, I want to speak with the registrar. Registrar. Hello. Hello, registrar. Is the registrar there? Hello, Sodiq.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Is the registrar there?
I don't know if the registrar is there.
Sorry, no, the registrar is not here.
It's okay. I
Hello?
can see Sodiq speaking, and
Yes,
Amidat is equally there.
can I
My name is
proceed?
Alaji.
Yes, ma, you can proceed.
Okay. So in a resume, like I said, it's just like a brief account of what you have in relation to the job you're applying for. So you don't have to state all the details, but go straight to the point. What are the things that are relevant to the application? So that's what you state, and that's why it's going to have your full name, job title, and then I also noticed that most times, especially maybe undergrads, they also make unless if it's needed, like probably if you're applying for federal government position or public sector, there's no need for you to be stating your state of origin. Nobody is interested in that. Nobody is interested in your maybe local government, all those ones. Nobody is interested in that. Just go straight. Your name is enough. Your name, your job title. Then, in fact, even some are not interested in your gender. They are not interested in your date of birth or your age. So just give us your name, because those things might also count against you at times. Because if you are looking for a job whereby maybe they want to be gender biased, so if you are stating a gender that is not related to what they are looking for, that can be a turn off. So that's why most times some of those details are not really needed. So just go straight to the point, your full name, the job title, your contact information, then probably the objective of the role you're applying for, the education, work experience, the skills, because this is where you need to like expatiate your skills and work experience. This one is very, very important. This is what the employer is looking for most times. Then if you have, of course, if you are a polyglot, because most times if you are a polyglot, it's an added advantage. So you can let them know that okay, you can speak more than one language, especially if you are applying for a job in a multinational company. It's a plus. So, and another one is your relevant certification and interest. So now this is an example of a resume. If you look at it, just a single page. So, and it's for Elizabeth Smith. So here she just states she went straight to the point. This is the skills she had in relation to the job she's applying for. Of course, you can see that she's applying for SEO and marketing professional. So here the skills that she has, of course, you can see her contact details. If you take a look at it, there's nothing like date of birth, state of origin. All those ones are not needed, especially if you're applying for an international job. Nobody's interested in that. So she highlighted her experience, her work experience, volunteer experience, the language, the interest, the certificate she has, and so on and so forth. And in fact, most times, some people might have a dilemma of how are they going to come up with something in a single page. I think I'm still coming to that. You can make use of some online tools. In fact, this there are some tools online like Canva. You can make use of it. You can even make use of Figma. These are some of the tools you can use to come up with a very concise resume. So now, point to note: in the United States, a resume and CV, they are not the same thing, because in the US, for instance, CV is usually used in the academia, like I said, while resume is usually used in the industry. However, in some other regions of the world, like the UK, New Zealand, and most part of Europe, EU, so CV and resume are usually used interchangeably. And this is also the same thing that happens in Nigeria. That's why in Nigeria, most times, some HR, some will make mention of CV because of the influence of the British. You know, of course, the most of the we follow British convention most times. So most times some HR they make. I said the point to note as regard the CV and resume is that in the US a resume and CV are not the same thing. So that, and you have to take note so that if you are applying for a job in the US, so in the US most time the word resume is reserved for industry position, while CV is reserved for academia. So and while however in some other part of the world like the United Kingdom and Europe generally, so the work CV and resume are used interchangeably, even though CV is usually more pronounced. And then same thing happens to Nigeria and some other third world country. So people use CV and resume interchangeably. So the major difference regarding that is that, like I said, in CV, the length it can go as long as possible. So you can even have a CV of 15, 20 pages, while resume most times it's just a single page. And for like 10, 15 years in the industry, they can write their own can span beyond a page, maybe probably like two. But most times 2 pages is usually the maximum. So usually tailored towards academia, while resume is usually tailored towards industry. So and geographical location. So both I think I made mention of that one. While most it is usually in the US that the word CV and resume are used in different contexts. So cover letters. This one I wouldn't like to bore you with a lot of notes because the last speaker have spoke extensively about cover letters. So cover letter is like an application document that you submit with your resume so that you can tell the employer that you are the right person for the job. So and cover letter most times some employer don't request for it, but even if they don't request for it, I think it's advisable that you always have your cover letters because it's going to stand you like you are going to stand out among all the applicants because you are going to have opportunity to state some that you have and how you want to contribute positively to the organization. So these are some of the things. The last speaker has explained some of this, but let me just go through it in a nutshell. So for cover letters, it's not usually good that you have a blank cover letter. So try and brand your cover letter so that you can have the name. So it's going to carry your name, your official name, and then make sure try and take note of the way you arrange your name is very important. So now the contact details. Usually cover letter will carry your phone number, which is very important so that your employer, the prospective employer can reach out to you. Then of course your email address is also very important so that they can always reach out to you for information. So then there are some other ones you can also include like your LinkedIn profile. You can see the one here. Like your if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, it's better you have it now if you want to apply for jobs and land your dream job because it's more of the way whereby they can check and look out for your online presence and see how get to know about your brand. So and you can also include your pronoun, like for instance in advanced world now, you know the kind of world we live in. Some people are going to tell you the pronoun that you should use to address them. Is it he or she or whatever? So then the next one is that you are going to address the hiring manager. So here you are going to include the dates, you are going to include the address. Then if possible, try and use the name of the hiring manager to address them. So I think the last speaker spoke about that. Then others include your attention grabbing paragraph, opening paragraph. Try the next one, you are going to state your job qualification, reason why they should hire you, the job, what like how you are qualified for the job. The next one, the relevant experiences that you have in relation to the job that you're applying for. While the last one is usually the concise closing paragraph. So these are examples. I try to highlight some of these. These are examples of cover letters and resume builder tools because most times people are usually find themselves in a dilemma whereby they don't know how to come up with a cover letter or resume. So these are websites you can just check if in case if you don't know how to come up with yours, so they can always help you because it's very important that you come up with a standard resume. Some HR nowadays they use ATL like I made mention earlier on. So if your CV or resume is not standard enough, it's going to be a turn off. Nobody will call you for the next stage. But if you have a resume that is straight to the point and have the information that the employer is looking out for, so it's going to be like the first step for you to land your dream job. So you can check any of these sites, and there are some other sites too you can make use of. You can make use of even you can make use of Canva to build your resume or cover letters. You can even make use of Figma and some other tools like that. So whereby some other design tools. But make sure it shouldn't be too colorful, but nevertheless it shouldn't be too dull. Make it something that will be attractive to whoever is checking through it, but it shouldn't be too colorful, like I said, so that it won't be too distractive. So I think
Please,
that's the
sir,
end of
kindly share your kindly share your slide.
oh,
Kindly share your slide, sir.
okay. I'm so sorry. I thought I was sharing my slide. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So where is the list of the cover letter and resume builder tools I made mention of? I'm going to after the presentation so that we can make use of it. So thank you very much. I've gotten to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين